When a system starts failing, whether it's a supply chain, a corporate department, or a city council, our first instinct is to force a fix. We introduce a new protocol. We mandate a new compliance check. We clamp down. We assume that if something is broken, a lack of structure must be the culprit, so we add layers of oversight. But in highly complex environments, every new rule demands energy to enforce. That friction creates bottlenecks, leading to systemic burnout, and making the entire structure more fragile than when we started. It creates a strange, unavoidable loop. The exact mechanisms we designed to stabilize a chaotic environment are the very things causing it to break down. Our basic intuition about leadership and control is backwards. Getting a complex system to stabilize doesn't require tightening our grip. It requires a complete inversion of how we think about action.
Over 2,500 years ago, a philosopher named Laozi outlined this exact failure in a text known as the Tao Te Ching. It serves as a diagnostic manual for the problem of over-intervention. In Chapter 57, Laozi observes a consistent pattern. As a kingdom multiplies its prohibitive enactments, the poverty of the people increases. He maps out an escalating cycle of failure. When a ruler introduces new implements to maximize profit, disorder spreads through the state. When men rely on acts of crafty dexterity, strange, unpredictable contrivances appear. And the more aggressive the legislation, the more thieves are generated to bypass it. Every aggressive correction creates an equal and opposite evasion. If clamping down only accelerates a system's collapse, surviving it demands a non-mechanical form of governance. Laozi calls this solution Wu Wei. It is a philosophy that translates roughly to non-action, but that translation misses the actual mechanics at play. Wu Wei is not lazy indifference. It is a highly disciplined, strategic refusal to interfere. It is the conscious choice to step back and let the natural dynamics of a situation resolve themselves. This graph shows the central warning of Chapter 58. As the line representing control and meddling goes up, touching and measuring every variable, the line representing systemic stability crashes. A government that touches everything will work poorly and bring disappointment. The very act of constant correction turns into distortion. Even well-intentioned interventions inevitably sour, turning a good policy into a destructive outcome. In any living, breathing environment, the tighter a leader grips the steering wheel, the faster the vehicle shakes apart. To move this from abstract logic into physical reality, Lao Tzu uses a remarkably simple analogy in Chapter 60. He writes that governing a great state, or managing any complex organization, is exactly like cooking a small fish. The logic of this comparison is found in the kitchen. A small fish is delicate. If you constantly poke it, flip it, or drag a spatula across it to ensure it cooks perfectly, the meat breaks apart. The fish disintegrates into mush, not from a lack of heat, but from too much handling. A successful cook knows to leave the fish alone. The job is entirely about maintaining the environment, managing the heat of the pan, rather than forcing the intervention with the spatula. The text describes the ideal leader as a square which cuts no one. They provide a clear boundary and a straightforward structure, but they allow themselves no license to injure the system through constant overreach. Effective management isn't about actively turning the gears of an organization. It relies entirely on passive environmental stewardship. When you stop forcing outcomes, you reach the end state of Wu Wei, resulting in a natural, unforced transformation of the people. The sage says, "I will do nothing of purpose, and the people will transform themselves." Stepping out of the way forces the system's inhabitants to adapt, self-regulate, and become self-sufficient. By removing the burden of constant oversight, the leader removes the incentive for people to cheat or bypass the system. When the energy previously spent on navigating complex regulations is redirected toward labor and local trade, the community naturally moves toward self-sufficiency and wealth. This diagram shows what Chapter 59 calls deep roots and firm stocks. The visible part of the system appears entirely static, doing nothing, while beneath the surface, an unseen network of strength aggressively expands. Whether you are running a nation, directing a business, or managing your own life, true longevity is secured strictly through moderation. It requires the restraint to let things grow on their own terms. Anyone can react to a crisis by issuing a new rule. But the most profound, enduring display of leadership is possessing the absolute power to interfere and actively choosing not to.